Was Craig from Degrassi your high school crush? Well, Jake Epstein played the infamous guitar-playing heartbreaker and wonders what consequences would look like for Craig if the show came out today.
There was a lot of toxicity. The way that Craig treats women.
Like Craig cheating on Ashley, getting Manny pregnant, and stringing Ellie along to cover up his coke addiction.
I wonder now, if we were going to redo those storylines today, how the lens would change a little bit, how the story would change a little bit. Maybe some of the consequences for Craig might be a bit higher today than they were back then.
These storylines happened in the early 2000s, where moments like Manny's blue bedazzled thong or her I'm gonna be famous moment led to Manny being outcast or slut-shamed by other Degrassi students. Even though it was Peter who took the video of an intoxicated, underage, and naked Manny Santos and shared it with the school by email, because she wouldn't go on a date with him. Though Peter got in trouble with the school, his reputation went relatively unaffected by his peers. Longtime cast member and executive producer Stefan Brogren commented on the Degrassi Next Class era and how they were now dealing with a generation who grew up on social media, where dick pics and sending nudes were now part of a common language and experience amongst teenagers.
We have to treat it with a sensitivity that didn't exist when Manny got in trouble. Now we're dealing with a whole generation that probably have done this.
Co-creator Linda Schuyler added that Degrassi was able to stay on the air for so long because even when the times changed, Degrassi was able to change along with it. She said, just look at how Degrassi reflected abortion over the span of 30 years.
The first one that we did, there were protesters there. She had to walk through protesters. The next one, there wasn't that degree of protest. And by the time we got to our third abortion episode, she has the abortion in the middle of the episode, and then she deals with the fallout and being shamed and then owning it. These storylines and so many of the others that you've talked about, they were from a particular moment in time.
Linda said that even though the consequences might be different with each generation in these tough moments, the emotions teenagers feel are still the same. And because of that, they need to be handled with the same sensitivity, whether it's the 1980s, 2000s, or being discussed today. Jake commented that he found it difficult to film some of Craig's cheating storylines because he wanted Craig to be a good person. But overall, the fan base at the time seemed to adore Craig, and in general, the perception of his character was still pretty good. His bandmate, Spinner Mason, even praised Craig for cheating and having 2 girlfriends at the same time.
Dude, you are my inspiration. You're a man among men.
Meanwhile, Manny's own best friend reacted like this.
Good, because I don't want to be friends with the school slut.
Cassie Steele, who played Manny Santos, said that in real life she was often bullied because of Manny's promiscuous phase.
At the mall, people calling me like a slut and all the people just did not separate me from my character growing up. And that was very difficult.
Degrassi makes a good point in saying that they're reflective of the times as they happen. It makes sense in the early 2000s that despite Craig's behavior, he was still seen as a desirable bad boy heartthrob of his generation, while Manny was socially ostracized for being viewed through the male gaze, slut-shamed for being the victim of quite literally revenge pee, or exercising her own bodily autonomy when it came to choosing to have an abortion. Storytelling around the female body in 2003 was restrictive and judgmental because our societal beliefs were that women should be restricted and judged. What we wear, who we sleep with, or how we access healthcare services was constantly up to public debate. Now, of course, those restrictive beliefs are still alive and well in 2021, but I want to know what you guys think. If Craig was a Degrassi character today, what would his consequences look like? Would Manny still be seen as such a villain? Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts and discuss with fellow Degrassi fans what you think.